from many countries of CPSC in the thought they think it is their time, So it happens sometimes that the people are not able to, really see the proper time because we write 3 p.m. Philippine Standard Time. But I think they will be joining. So I think we will have a good international webinar. In fact, we have started the concept of international webinars. We are conducting at least one webinar every 2 months. The next webinar is in the next month only because slightly this the webinar got delayed. So next webinar will be in the month of November. We will let you know the dates also. And the basic idea is to learn to the learner speakers basically from different countries and try to see what practices they are following and how we can implement those practices back in our institutions. So I think when we talk of this entrepreneurship, I think today is the area of the entrepreneurship because if you see the Asia Pacific region, there's a lot of unemployment and underemployment in our TVET institutions, TVET students, basically graduates, and they are looking for some alternatives. And I think entrepreneurship is one of the alternatives. In fact, if we look at the India, we have a great movement of having this startup culture in India. The government of India is giving a lot of emphasis on diverting a significant number of students from wage employment to self-employment or entrepreneurship. And in this context, we have a lot of institutions who are working day and night, for promoting this startup culture in India. And that is how we have chosen these two very distinguished speakers from two different institutions in India who are doing a lot of work in the field of entrepreneurship. So with this few words, I once again welcome both the speakers. I welcome all the all the participants also, and we can start this seminar. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Damaja, for joining us right now. So for the photo opportunity, let me call on our ICT to assist us in taking a group photo. You may turn on your camera or to our dear participants.
Hello, everyone. Please open your cameras.
And I also suggest to all the participants that in case they want a new topic to be so that we can have a new webinar maybe in the coming months, they can suggest some new topics also. We will arrange some good speakers for the new topics, which the participants they can also suggest. Thank you.
Okay, everyone, please look at the camera. Ready? 1, 2, 3, smile. One more. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, last one. 1, 2, 3, smile. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Justine. Thank you, Dr. Damaja. Okay, you may now turn off your camera. At this juncture, allow me to introduce our moderator for today. He is the current governing board faculty consultant at CPSC. His academic expertise is on optical communication, industrial engineering and instrumentation, satellite communication, wireless communication, computer-aided design for electronic design, semiconductor technology, digital communication, RF and microwave technology. He obtained his PhD in wireless communication in 2014 and his Master of Engineering degree in electrical, electronic, and telecommunication in 2005 at the University Technology Malaysia. He graduated with a bachelor degree in engineering, majoring in electronics and telecommunication from the College University Institute of Tun Hussein On, where he also obtained a postgraduate diploma in education in 1999. He has extensive teaching experience in higher technical education and has been involved in higher education curriculum development programs for electrical engineering courses. He is also an accreditor for Board of Technology Malaysia and Asia Pacific Accreditation Communication Certification or APAC. He has published over 30 research publications on electronic and telecommunication on IEEE magazines, Advanced Journal of Technical and Vocational Education, International Journal of Electronics and Radio Engineering. He also reviewed some journal articles for international publications and conference. Everyone, let us all welcome and give a round of applause to Dr. Casaban Olaganaten.
Thank you, Ms. Stephanie Rimas. Can you hear? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay,
can
thank you
hear
very much. Welcome everyone to our international webinar on startup, incubation, and entrepreneurship at an institution of higher learning, opportunity, and challenges, organized by Colombo Plain Staff College with the collaboration of IIT Ropar and NITAR Chandigarh. We have two speakers today, distinguished speaker, one from IIT Ropar and one from NITAR Chandigarh. The mode we will be conducting our webinar, we will be having two sections. The first section will be presentation by our first speaker and the second speaker. The second section, we will be having a Q&A section, more to open forum. The participant can chat in the box, the questions. Stephanie will read the questions, and also I will moderate the question. We will facilitate this for Q&A answer. So we are looking for 1.5 hours to 2 hours this webinar will last. So please stay tuned with us and get all the insightful. You need anything, you can ask. It's a very interesting topic for TVET agenda in the Asia Pacific region especially. So without ado, please stay until end in order for you to get your e-certificates as well. We will providing e-certificates. So without ado, I would like to call upon the first speaker for the section, Dr. Adarwa Pundarik. He is an assistant professor in the Department of Biomedical Engineering with an associate appointment in the Department of Metallurgical and Materials Engineering. He is passionate about India's self-reliance in the medical device manufacturing, and his research and teaching interests lie in material design and processing and medical devices for regenerative medicine. Prior to joining IIT Ropar as a faculty, Dr. Pundarik gained valuable industry experience setting up and managing a Class A medical dressing manufacturing unit with his father, grown up from land acquisitions, regulatory approvals, and plant commissioning to production and marketing. Additionally, a medical device startup founded by him is startup partner with national recognized medical institution on 2 prestigious government-funded projects. He also been entrusted with multiple administrative responsibility as an associate dean, international relations and alumni affairs. His efforts have largely focused on materializing equitable win-win relationship with foreign partners, consolidating alumni networks. As a founding faculty coordinator, head of Center of Excellence Studies and Applied Research in Defense and Security, he strategized various training and research and development related articles with activities with stakeholders from defense ecosystem such as armed force, defense, public sector unit, ordnance factories, variable labs, industry startups to cater the training and operational instrument requirement of the armed force. In his capacity as a chairperson of Industry Realization and director of IIT Ropar Technology Business Incubator Foundation, he has been instrumental in driving key institutional policy decision and stakeholder relation to propel startup, MSME engagement, CSR activities, startup academia, interfacing, and financial sustainability. Dr. Pundarik has won many accolades like the National Bursary Honor by the Honorary President of India in category of Creative Science in November 1999. He also won the winner of American Society of Bone and Mineral Research Young Integrator Award in September 2011, Foundry Award for Entrepreneurship, Rensselaer Polytechnic Institute from USA in May 2013, and Entrepreneurial Lead National Science Foundation ICOP program in USA in from October to December 2014. He was awarded the SERB Sabra Tetra Award by SERB DST in 2023, one of the 9 recipients nationally, for his work on orthopedic adhesive. He has multiple peer-reviewed publications in high-impact international journal, over 20 conference presentations, and 5 granted applied US and Indian patents. With that, we are glad to invite Dr. Atra Pondrik to take the floor for your first section for this webinar. Please welcome Dr. Adara Pondrik from IIT Ropan. Please, Doctor.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Keshavan. Foremost, thank you to Professor Dhameja, DG of CPSC, and Dr. Ulaganathan for facilitating this session on entrepreneurship. It is an honor. I see a very diverse range of participants, actually, from across a variety of nations. I was just following the chat, and we have someone from Sudan all the way to the Far East. It's an honor to be speaking with you. Do I share my presentation on the screen, or are you, Dr. Keshavan, are you going to upload it?
You can share, Doctor.
I can share it. Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm sharing it. I'm sharing it. Is it visible now?
Yeah, visible.
Okay. Okay. All right. So at IIT Roper, I have a number of responsibilities, as Dr. Keshavan has pointed out. But in this capacity, as the director and faculty in charge of IIT Roper Technology Business Incubator Foundation, I oversee the startup incubation ecosystem at the institution. And the idea today is to understand what we are doing and go through the processes, the philosophy of our experiences, what we have tried to establish at IIT Roper, in the sense of getting startups, deep tech startups, ready for serving the needs of society. So a brief about IIT Roper for those who are not familiar. Basically, we are situated in the Indian state of Punjab. It is at the foothills of the Himalayas and an hour from Chandigarh. So if you are around the northern region, New Delhi, Chandigarh, for all the participants, Dr. Keshavan, you and your team have visited last year, and glad to say now we are sort of working very closely. For the other participants from CPSC, if you happen to be around Chandigarh, please visit us. As an engineering institution of national importance, IITs are known for their BTech programs. We have BTech in number of engineering disciplines. We have number of master's programs. And then we have sciences, physics, chemistry, mathematics, data science, AI, and then PhDs across departments. And we have a number of centers also that contribute to research across domains: engineering, education, energy efficiency, defense and security, rural technology, data science, and artificial intelligence and machine learning. And the reason I am pointing this out is that the incubation process, the strategy, the nature of startups that the institution can support will rely on the capabilities or the core competencies of the institution. So as an engineering institution with bachelor's, master's, PhD programs with a diverse set of faculty members, we have around 200 faculty members, including in humanities. Our core competency lies in these areas. And naturally, what we have decided to do is we are focusing in these areas in deep technology as an incubator foundation. So TBIF has been in existence since 2016. We are essentially a Section 8 company. So, other nations may have their not-for-profit entities. In India, Section 8 is a not-for-profit entity, which is established by the institution, by IIT Roper, with the aim of supporting startups. So it is a not-for-profit we have been supported by Department of Science Technology from 2020 onwards. It is a 5-year grant period that the government is supporting, and in part supported by the host institution, which is IIT Roper. And the objective of this Section 8, the reason I mention it's a company is because we will see later it has to operate like a startup, because we are supporting startups. It is important the way it operates is also agile like a startup, and that is how it has been set up. Given the competencies we have at IIT Roper, we have decided to focus on a few major areas, particularly manufacturing 4.0, where we are integrating automation along with the standard manufacturing technology. Green and renewable energy is one area, defense and security, and healthcare. So broadly, we are looking at this, although we are also incubating companies or startups in a diverse number of sectors. We want to focus on areas where the institution can truly help the startup companies that are associating with us. Here is a snapshot of the last 3 years, just to give a glimpse of what we have been doing. We have incubated in the last 3 years over 33 startups.
Doctor, excuse me, doctor,
yes,
your slide is not moving.
But I am moving the slide here.
Yeah, but in the screen, we are not seeing your slide, only in the first slide.
Okay, I see. Let me do share. Let me see it. Just let me share the whole screen. Maybe that will change.
Now we can see it's moving.
Now, yeah. So, but it's not full screen. Let me share whole screen.
Yeah.
Just give me a moment. Is it visible now?
Okay, it's visible. Now we are on the second, I think, centers.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah,
it's now
okay, so
academic program.
excellent.
Okay, right.
Excellent.
Okay.
So I just, just quickly, the academic programs that are, relevant to engineering, basic engineering disciplines. Then I talked about our centers of excellence that we have that are multidisciplinary. And the reason I said I mentioned them was because it will determine.
Dr. Atarba, we cannot hear you right now.
Excuse me, doctor, we can't hear you. Doctor, we can't hear you, doctor. Dr. Adarwa.
Hello.
Okay, we can hear you now, doctor. We can't hear you just
Can
now.
everyone hear me? I'm getting
you're audible.
comments. Hello.
Yeah. Can you hear us?
Dr. Keshavan?
Yeah, I can hear you. Can you hear me? Doctor, can you hear me?
Dr. Keshavan, can you hear me?
No. I can hear you, but can you hear me?
Okay.
You can hear. Can you hear me, doctor?
Okay, and you can see the screen now also, I'm assuming.
Yes. Okay.
Yes. Okay. Great. Okay. So I just changed the screen just so that everyone is aware. So Dr. Keshavan, need your heads up. Okay. Core team. So we have a strong team that runs this entire operation. I am a director. We have a board of directors, which is chaired by the director of IIT Ropar, Professor Ahuja. We have 3 other directors. And I am the faculty in charge who's responsible as a director for the operations. We recently hired a chief executive officer, and we have an incubation manager, a startup liaison officer, a CSR officer, and a few executives that look at the daily operations. So we are essentially working in certain verticals, which are in the areas of startups, micro, small, medium enterprises. We are also eligible to take up corporate social responsibility projects, which is something which is very unique in what we are doing compared to several other incubators, because a number of startups can be funded through these CSR projects. And so we are working in health on CSR. And so for each of these verticals, we basically have hired and we have built up a team in that particular manner. So the directors play a very key role at the institution. So at your institution, if you are setting this sort of not-for-profit up, then the role of the directors is crucial in building the culture that you are going to sustain over a long duration of time. I'll just go briefly through some of the pointers. One is that the directors will set the vision for the incubator. And one of the thumb rules that we have followed is that it should align the vision of the incubator, or the kind of startups that you're incubating should align with the core objectives and strategic direction of the institution. So each institution may have a different competence, you may have different departments, you may have different research areas of focus. And so the kind of startups or industries or MSMEs that you will engage with will be something of an exercise that you would have to do. Secondly, the role of the directors again is to lay down the policy framework in terms of how we operate. A critical part of policy is the entrepreneurship policy, because we have faculty, we have students, we have staff that are open to incubating. We have to lay down the provisions and the guidelines for how this can be done. And so we are board approved by IIT Ropar to be able to make changes and amend the policy. The human resource policy, incubation policy, the different modes of incubation, different ways in which startups can engage with the incubator and through the incubator with the institution, and various operating procedures have to be laid down. Thirdly, hiring the right candidates. I think this is crucial, because academic institutions typically don't run like companies. However, as I mentioned, an incubator has to run like a company, because it is dealing with companies, and very agile companies like startups. So our focus here has been, what is the revenue that we are generating per employee? So we want to be lean, we want to be efficient. And so that is again a critical role that the board of directors plays in the initial inception of the incubator. Fourth, there has to be a synergy between the incubator and the institution and other stakeholders. And so the ease of doing business, how the incubator functions along with the various administrative divisions of the institution, that is something which the directors, the faculty, different experts that form the board play a critical role in. And last but not the least, and I would say probably one of the most important points is to monitor the financial performance and ensure that financially the incubator is able to sustain its operations. Even better, it is able to fund startup companies on its own. So the finances become quite important. And I lay emphasis on financial sustainability because in India, the way things work, we have support that is coming in from the central or the state government. Then we have some support from the institution, but in the end, it is expected that the incubator is able to generate its own funds, run its operations from the funds, and also promote startups. So I've just categorized certain revenue streams and the expenses for the benefit of you. In terms of revenue, how we get in money, of course, directly through the government or through certain schemes. There is institution support, host support, as I mentioned. Now, the incubator has to be innovative in identifying revenue sources from the private sector. And some of these, what we are doing is, through rental, through advisory services. We participate in funding rounds in promising startups and get equity through funding. We are also looking at royalty and overheads. And we get a share of certain schemes, that are coming up to the center and the state. Of course, they may be different for different countries that are participating in this webinar, but this is a general gist of it. In terms of the expenses, it is important to cover for manpower, various administrative expenses, certain heads like promotion, marketing. In fact, startups need a lot of exposure, so we attend a lot of trade fairs, a lot of demos. And that requires expenses, student activities, which I will come to, because students form a critical part of academic institutions. And so it is important to integrate the students into the incubator operations, and that is also something that we cater. Furthermore, growth opportunities and funding to startups is where expenses are met in terms of incubator operations. And so these two have to be in balance, because generally problems arise when you are spending a lot, you have made a large team, but you don't have enough cash flow coming in, and then it becomes a severe issue for sustainability of the incubator operation. Naturally, when you start an incubator, you hope that it runs for several years and becomes in a way financially wealthy enough to carry on and expand its activities. Basically, if I were to categorize the services, of course, as an incubator, we have office working space. We have mentorship in terms of management, business plan mentorship, basic administrative services such as setting up the company, legal services for the company, financial advisory for the company, advice on IP and market strategy. But importantly, being a higher education institution, what are the assets and the expertise we can leverage? And those would be the access to the institutional resources. So one thing we have done here is we have not duplicated, because IIT Roper has advanced labs at various levels. And so rather than creating our own small setup, we have tied up with the institution to utilize, for startups to utilize these advanced facilities. And that is something which many private incubators, if you are looking at the sort of incubator space, they cannot afford to do. So that is truly our core competence. And the access to institutional resources is what we heavily focus on in terms of adding value to the startups that we are working with. We have a state-of-the-art infrastructure. Actually, we recently inaugurated a new space here. The Secretary of Higher Education personally inaugurated. We see the Director of IIT Roper, and so we have a new co-working space, well designed, fully functional now. And in addition to this space, we have conference meeting rooms, the pictures of which are shown. We have a design and die lab. We have several office spaces, and we are also expanding outside of the geography of IIT Roper. In fact, we have office space now at Bangalore in the IIT Alumni Center. We have 6 seats. We are also located in a center of excellence, which we are developing with the government of Madhya Pradesh. There's a center of excellence on drones, where we will have a drone-specific startup incubation. And the advantage of incubating at the higher education institution, if an arrangement is worked out, is that, like we have done, the startups can get or utilize the institute's equipment and infra at internal rates, which makes it substantially cheaper than companies that are approaching the institution directly. So the rates at which the startups can avail of services through incubation at IIT Roper is 20 to 50 times cheaper than what it would be for industries that are directly working with the institution. So just some more details here in terms of what sort of support we offer. we always emphasize that being an education institution, a research institution, we have a very strong research expertise faculty base of 200 odd faculty members from across engineering disciplines. In fact, it is an unspoken rule that we want to associate every startup with at least one faculty member in any capacity. It could be an advisor, it could be a founder, it could be a mentor, it could be a consultant. And we have experienced personnels, investors, mentors from the industry, depending on the sectors that the startups are coming from. We have those sort of connects in the private sector. We are also now getting the alumni. IIT Roper has a strong alumni base. So this is something that some of the TVET organizations could consider because the alumni have created their own startups. They have had significant experience in the industry space. So we are making special effort to connect with the alumni, bring them on campus, and provide either mentorship or creating a fund pool. So that is something now that we are actively doing in order to provide mentoring and technical assistance. As far as the financial support goes, of course, the host institution, incubator is supporting. However, we are looking at hybrid models of funding with the private sector, public-private partnership kind of models. We are also looking at joint incubation and CSR, corporate social responsibility. Specifically, we are conducting several projects with PGI MER Chandigarh. This is a multi-specialty hospital in the Chandigarh area. And we are doing a number of CSR projects with startups that we have incubated jointly with the hospital. And then in terms of networking, again, which is very important for startups to reach out, the institution, the amount of access that an institution can give is a lot more than a startup alone can get. And startups see that value. Actually, IIT Roper, TBIF under its banner, takes several startups depending on the sector or the nature of event that is being organized. It may be in defense and security, it may be in health, it may be in industry and manufacturing. Few of these are listed. So we are regular participants at vendor development shows by the Indian Army, international working group meetings last year. This year also we were in Hyderabad for health G20. We were a part of that, and then various industry bodies where startups can showcase their products and get access to potential partners and customers. I earlier mentioned that students form an integral part of the academic ecosystem. The way TBIF looks at it is that we want ideas coming from the student base, and in the process they are refined, and before incubation they have a certain sense of knowledge as to how they want to proceed. They have a certain structure in place, a certain team, they know their deficiencies, and they have thought about creating the startup. And that process from ideation to formulation of a seed stage typically happens when students interact. And so we have a students entrepreneurship cell. The entrepreneurship cell is a student body. It has its own governance, president, vice president, they have a team. And the objective of the e-cell, entrepreneurship cell or e-cell, is to connect with the 3,200 odd students that we have on campus to figure out which groups are working, which clubs are working in different areas that could be converted to startups, get them together, have discussions, create awareness sessions, host shows, host speakers, and then funnel those through to TBIF so that these startups can be incubated and mentored thereon with funding and other support. So the students, I say, in addition to the faculty, form a critical resource base of any institution, and if well leveraged, can generate a lot of good ideas and a lot of good startups. We have some of those that have been quite successful. They have moved out of IIT Roper. Some have also exited at multi-$100 million valuations, some of these alumni-based startups. And we are seeing increasing success in that area. So these are some snapshots of the activities. We do various activities from startup acceleration. We do talks. We go to various expos. I will list out some of them. On the right, top right, you can see the Chief of Defence Staff, General Anil Chauhan, visiting the TBI defense startups. We are routine participant in several of these army, because as I mentioned, strategically the institution is also looking at defense and security, and so it makes sense for us to also then support those kind of startups. We work with state bodies such as Startup Punjab to promote startups and incubation within the region state of Punjab. Several other activities that I mentioned with the conclaves within the state, out of state. In fact, last year, as I mentioned at the very start, we had a delegation from NITR and CPSC come to our incubator, and we hosted them. And this is something that we do year around. A brief snapshot of our startup portfolio. They range across, I will just take a few segments. Vanix Technologies is in high-end electronics, field programmable arrays. Evigway is, getting up there as a major defense manufacturer, military intelligence. Chematico Technologies is a startup that our graduate student and faculty have co-founded. They are making various apparel, smart fabrics for application in health and security. Rooms Vital is a startup that is looking at smart access-based solutions for hotels and condominiums. eScroot is an AI-based recruiting platform. Neontrum is a healthcare medical device startup in neonatal care. Kalpakar is looking at bamboo, so looking at handicraft made of renewable materials such as bamboo, which is again is an area of focus for the government of India. Nanokriti is looking at technology for agriculture and water purification. So a number of startups across domains, they are developing different kinds of technologies. They are working with different faculty members, all incubated here, and we support them. We are very selective in how we select, but wherever required, we are there to support them. We have a number of partners, again, with whom we interact. We don't believe in signing simply MOUs. We want to engage also. So with all of these, we have significant engagement, whether they be from the private sector for funding, whether they be for corporate social responsibility. We are looking at agencies that give us grants, UK India Business Council. So we are looking again at international startups. I would like to point out, because several companies are looking at establishing their base in India. So now that is a new area. Past year, we have been focusing on helping international companies establish at IIT Roper. This is something we have taken on. A couple of UK companies we are working with on that front, and several other accelerators to form part of the larger ecosystem that we are building. With that, I would like to end it here, and I'm happy to take any questions. I hope I'm within time.
Yes, Doctor. Can you hear me?
Okay. Thank you. Thank you all.
Yeah, can you hear me? Stephanie, can you hear me?
Yes, sir. I can hear you.
Dr. Adarwa, can you hear me? Dr. Adarwa, can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Dr. Keshavan, I cannot hear you.
Yeah, but we can hear you, but you can't hear us. That is a problem. We can hear because the other audience can hear me. Maybe there's some connection problem
Yeah,
at
okay,
your
I
end.
can hear you now. I just changed the speaker. Thank you.
Okay. Anyway, thank you very much for your insightful because you are with the time for your insightful sharing on the entrepreneurship. What are you doing, IIT Ropar, from the management side up to your activities, your role play? I think there will be few questions, but we will take these questions after the second presenter,
Sure.
so that we will
So
open this. Yeah.
I hope the presentation and the audio was clear, because
Yeah. That we're during the presentation, the audio, you are audible.
thank you.
Okay, you're audible. So I think for all the participants, you have any questions, please put it in the chat box. We will answer your question after the second presenter. So we will poll and we'll have like a forum section. Then even the second presenter can help to also give some inputs based on the same question. So with that, on behalf of Colombo Plain Staff College, we would like to thank Dr. Adarwa for your insightful sharing as a first presenter. Now, I would like to invite our second presenter for the international webinar. Dr. Niraj Bala is working as a professor in Entrepreneurship Development and Industrial Coordination Department at National Institute of Technical Teachers Training and Research, NITTTR, or known as NITR, Chandigarh. Her areas of specialization are entrepreneurship, intellectual property rights, surface engineering, and manufacturing practices. She was awarded Best Engineering College Teachers Award for Punjab State for the year 2012 by Indian Society of Technical Education, ISTE, New Delhi. She was nominated for the Best PhD Thesis Award by NACE International Gateway India section and awarded Runner-Up Award. She got SMT Sheila Baya National Award 2015 for Outstanding Contribution for Technology Enhancement in the field of Mechanical Engineering by IEI India, Udaipur Local Center. She successfully carried out research project sponsored by government. She has been granted 1 patent. She has co-authored 2 textbooks and 6 chapters. She has to her credit around 100 papers published in journals and conference proceedings. She has guided 9 PhD candidates and 30 Master Tech MTech students. She is the co-coordinator for mock courses on SWAYAM portal titled Institutional Management for Entrepreneurship. With that, I would like to welcome Dr. Niraj Bala to take the floor to present her presentation in this international webinar. Please welcome, Doctor.
Thank you so much, Dr. Keswan. And I think it seems like old last year, Dr. Athra, if you remember, we visited your yes, TBI
Yes,
and
ma'am.
along with Dr. Keswan, and we also have our mentor and senior faculty from NITR Chandigarh, Professor Dhameja. So I'm thankful to him and the entire team of CPSC for giving me this opportunity to interact with you all. So, sir, let me first of all share my PPT with all of you.
Yeah, sure.
Let me know if it is visible. I think I will go with full screen.
Yeah, it is visible.
Okay, so thank you so much. Okay. So, so we had a wonderful session by Dr. Athra where he shared his practical experience of TBI. But sir, here at NITR, we mostly conduct the sessions as motivating and sessions for the faculty, so that why there is a requirement of entrepreneurship, why do we need to go for innovation startup? And since the topic here is business incubation, the last slides I will be discussing how we can go with the business incubation. So starting with a little bit about the introduction, what we understand by entrepreneurship, innovation startup, and business incubation, because the main motive at NITR Chandigarh is to create that awareness among the participants, among the faculty, so that they are able to inculcate these values, this entrepreneurial culture in their own institutes. So already we had a practical go through by Dr. Athra regarding this business incubation. But why there is a requirement of all this? So a little bit about the entrepreneur, which we all are aware, which has come from a French word, which means to undertake. That means to start some process, to undertake a process. But in this, a very important point here is, this is a process of starting and developing a company which has something new, something innovative, which we can provide to our society. So starting with some successful entrepreneurs of India, of our country, we know we pay homage to our late Ratan Tata ji at number 2, who did a lot of work, who was a great entrepreneur, but he gave a lot to the society as well. So we have these 4 successful entrepreneurs of our country, Anand Mahindra ji, who is owning the Mahindra cars. Then we have Ratan Tata ji, only a few days back, he left all of us. Then we all are aware of Mukesh Ambani ji and Wipro chairman. So basically, what is entrepreneurship? It is the act of creating business in order to generate a profit. But in this process, it is very important. If you see here, we need to solve the problem. We need to be innovative. We need to bring a social change when we are talking about the entrepreneurship. So a big advantage of entrepreneurship is that you are your own boss. You don't need to answer anyone. And why all these countries, India, other developing countries, and all the developed countries, why they are emphasizing on entrepreneurship? Because it is directly connected to the economic development. So it provides a positive impact on the economic development of any country. So that is why there is an importance. Why do we require entrepreneurship? So these are the certain experiences of some successful entrepreneurs I have taken from throughout the globe, who have given their own definitions, you can say, of entrepreneurship. Like Nicole says, the founder of Nicole says that don't get discouraged. You have to stay committed to your goals beyond your feelings of excitement. You have to, founder and CEO of Neuroflow says, you should be willing to take leaps. You should work hard enough to sacrifice anything, and you should have that capability of solving problems. So entrepreneurs make their way with passion, grit, and energy, and they have a lifelong learning incredible amount and maximize your impact. So these are certain definitions given by some successful entrepreneurs who have set their own businesses. Again, Nicole Faith says that it is not, you will see, Sir has also covered, that many of the businesses, they fail in the start only. So it is very important for an entrepreneur that you have to stay committed to your work. You have to keep on working hard, long hours, and often alone. So if you see this last definition or last quotes given by Mike Kim, co-founder of KPOP Foods, if we read his history, he was an army veteran before he started or planned to start his own entrepreneurship, his own food business. He said it is that it is not for faint-hearted. See, he said that he overcame a number of combats. He went to a number of fights. But when he started his own business, then starting a business, being an entrepreneur is as challenging as his work or as his experience as an army veteran. So moving on, a term which we all are aware of, that is technology entrepreneurship. We know that technology entrepreneurship encompasses the projects which are specialized and which are related to the advances in scientific and technology knowledge, which are the purpose is for creating and capturing some value from a firm. So these successful technological entrepreneurs. We have several, but these are the current technological entrepreneurs. If you read about them, hope you know, all of you know about these 3 technological entrepreneurs who are successful and who have brought a great change in the various technologies. If you know, you can write the names of these 3 technological entrepreneurs who have succeeded and who have brought about new technologies. So you can write the names of these 3 if you know in your chat. So you all are aware of them. The first one we know, Jeff Bezos, the man behind the online empire of Amazon. He started, if you go through the history of these successful entrepreneurs, technological entrepreneurs, he started his business by selling books through online. So if you see, so many years back, this was nothing new. From there, he started his entire empire of Amazon. And he had been one of the richest persons on the globe. See, this Jeff Bezos. You must have read that he got divorced from his wife. And even after sharing 25%, he was again the richest person. And his wife was third richest woman after getting shares after the divorce. So second, we all are aware of Elon Musk, who is making a number of new innovations, new technological changes. Tesla, SpaceX, and so many. He was a part of this OpenAI also. Then Mark Zuckerberg, we know, co-founder, chairman, and CEO of Meta Platforms, which was formerly known as Facebook. He started his business. If you see how all of them started the innovation, he also started his firm by starting, which he called as Face Mesh or Facebook, where while studying in the institute at Harvard University, he made a Facebook where we know in those days we had our photograph, address of the students studying in that. So from there only he started his Facebook, and now we know how successful it is. So these are the three successful technological entrepreneurs. Why we are talking so much of innovation, why we are talking about startups, why we are talking about business incubations. So just one point, this is a very important quote given by our late president. Creativity is seeing the same thing but thinking differently. This is what we understand by innovation. This is what we have to tell our students. Okay, they have to think of an idea. They have to think of something new, some practice or object which is perceived as new by an individual or any other unit of adoption. So innovation is basically development and application of a new idea. Now, mostly when we talk to our students in the universities or in schools or in colleges, they mostly confuse themselves with invention. This is what we need to clarify them, that innovation is something new or something adding something new to already existing product. It is not that every time you have to invent something, you just have to add some new feature, some new technology to an already existing design. That will also be known as the innovation. Basically, you don't need to have invent something. You can innovate by adding some new feature into an already invented thing. So for example, we say computers, they were invented, mobile phones, television, pens, all these were inventions because when they came in existence for the first time. But what is the basic difference between invention and innovation is that invention is when you invent something new. Innovation is when you keep on adding some new features to an already invented thing. Let us take this example of television. When television was invented, it was of a different structure, different shape, different features it had. So if you see here, I remember we used to watch, if somebody is of my age group, we used to watch this television, which is black and white. And the technology which they were using, it was cathode ray tubes. And if you see, we had these knobs on the front. So this was one old version of a television which was invented initially. But later on, through a number of innovative steps, today we have these LCDs, today we have these LEDs. Now these LCDs, LEDs, they are the outcome of a number of innovations which have taken place throughout the years. If we talk about the technology, the initial televisions were only black and white. Then they became colored televisions. The technology used was cathode ray tube. Then LCDs came. Then LEDs came. So all these things are innovations which have taken place throughout the life cycle of this. So this is what we have to tell our students. Okay, they need to think independently so that they are able to innovate the product which is already there. Concept of innovation, as we know, it begins with an idea. It should be innovative, creative, and imaginative, and it should solve some social problem. Sometimes we have an idea, but it should solve some problem, and we should be able to give something to the society. That is the basic concept of innovation. Innovation should have a competitive advantage. It should be business aligned, and it should have a customer. So this is the part where when you think of an idea and how to convert that idea to a product, this is the part where the business incubations help us in converting our innovative ideas to a final product. This is how we can take help of the business incubations, which we are going to see. So how to execute your idea? See, as a student in our institutes, in our universities, a student only has an idea. He knows how he can convert his idea into a product. But who will do all the hand holding? This is where the business incubations come into hand. And this is where they do the hand holding and convert that particular idea into a business product. A little bit about startups. We have already seen so many number of startups have been incubated at TBI, at Roper. So what is a startup? So a startup is a company in the first stages of its operations. So it's a business organization that is formed by an entrepreneur, or it can be a group of entrepreneurs, which is used to coordinate the process of entrepreneurship under a common structure. So fundamentally, the basic difference between a startup and a simple business is that it should have a growth phenomena in that. You should be able to grow your startup, and as stated in a business objective. So mostly startup is financed by its founders, or sometimes we take fund from our families, sometimes we take fund from our friends, or we can take funds from the venture capitalists, or we can also take help from the loans, from the bank loans. So startup must also consider whether they'll do business and also their legal structure. What is a startup in our country? In Indian context, any company which is in existence for less than 7 years. If it is biotechnology field, we can take it up to 10 years. From the date of incorporation is known as a startup. And it has an annual turnover of 25 crores or less from the date of inception for all the financial years. The objective of startup is, or the objective of organization must be to work towards innovation. So any startup, it should have an innovative element in that. It should be innovative. It should be able to, we should be able to develop that idea, deployment and commercialization of new products, processes or services driven by technology or intellectual property. So, and also it is not that already you have an old company, from there you split it into a new company. So startup has to be new, only then it will be known as a startup. So in our country, similarly for other countries also, there must be some department who certifies it or registers your company. So you will have to register, if you are claiming to be a startup, you will have to register your company as a startup company. For example, here we registered it as at Department for Promotion of Industry and Internal Trade. So once you register it, then if you are a startup, you are eligible for getting a number of grants, subsidies, and other things if you have registered your company as a startup. Basically, the procedure is that if your student has an idea, he wants to have a startup, you first register it, so that the various advantages, various features which any country gives to a startup, you can claim those features. When we talk about startup, all of you or many of you must be aware of another term which we call as unicorn startup or a unicorn company. What is a unicorn company? If your startup company is worth more than 1 billion, then we call that company as a unicorn company. So we also refer to these companies as unicorn startups or simply unicorns. Some examples of these successful startups who became unicorn are Airbnb, Facebook, Google, and Flipkart, and certain Indian companies like BharatPay, PhonePe, Byju's. They were the unicorn companies because they were able to have worth more than 1 billion when they were a startup. So as per CB Insights, we have on May 2024, there are over 1,200 unicorns around the world. Now, after unicorn, we also have two other terms known as decacorn and hectacorn. What is a decacorn startup company? So it is a term for a company valued at more than US 10 billion. So Flipkart, it became a decacorn in 2014-15 and was acquired by Walmart in 2018. Grammarly, you must be aware of this, another startup company, the first Ukrainian startup company to become a decacorn in 2021. Then we had this hectacorn, there is another term which is valued at more than 100 billion. So some examples of these hectacorn companies are ByteDance, which is a holding company for TikTok. It comes under the umbrella of hectacorn, and SpaceX, the only US company to reach this valuation. This is known as a hectacorn. So we have startups, we have these unicorns, we have these decacorns, and we have these hectacorns. Now, just one inspirational slide. Mostly when we give these lectures in technical colleges, vocational colleges. Mostly the first question they ask is, I am doing engineering, I am doing some technical course. Why would I become an entrepreneur? I am not studying business. Why should I go and become an entrepreneur? So this is just a motivational slide we have, that these are the successful engineers who have become entrepreneurs. They were all engineers and became very successful entrepreneurs. So, dear participants, this was just a brief introductory part, or we can say just a motivational part, what we understand by entrepreneurship, what is the significance of startups, and what is the significance of innovation. So if your student has any idea, if your student or even the faculty, if you have an idea and you want to convert that idea into a successful product and you want to bring it to a market, it is not a simple task. You need some hand holding, you need some help, and this help can be taken from the business incubation. So already Dr. Athrav has shown you a background about business incubation. But what is this business incubation? From where this concept of business incubation comes? So when I was reading about this business incubation, if you go to the history, any one of you have seen this picture anywhere? Any one of you, if you have seen. So whenever we have any concept, whenever we have anything, there must be some background history of that particular thing. So if we go to the background, to the mythological background of incubation, how this term incubation was introduced, please refer to this first figure, which we call as incubatio or incubatio. It is a Greek word. It is a Greek temple, actually. If you see this first figure I have taken from the internet. So basically, this whole term is an incubatio. This is a Greek temple. And if you see in this Greek temple, you can see a person who is not well or who is having some disease. He is lying inside this temple. He is lying in a Greek temple on the hide of an animal. And the basic idea behind this is that bring it a diseased person or person who is not well to this temple. And then he goes through the process of a visionary dream in order to heal himself. This was an incubation, was a process of healing yourself from some disease or from some illness in old days. From there, this term incubation came. Now, this was a temple of, you must have heard of god of medicine, which is known as Asclepius. This is the photograph I have taken. And this is he was known as the god of medicine. And this is his rod. He was known for his incarnation into a snake. So there is a single snake on his rod. So if you see, this is the entire history around the incubation. So this rod, if you see, I have taken the symbol of WHO, World Health Organization. So this symbol of rod of this god of medicine is also there in the symbol of WHO. So this is the entire background, how the incubation word came. So later on, we all know that this incubation, so it is connected with the term of healing, how to heal yourself. So later on in the world of medicine, we all know, we are aware of that the incubators were used for as a place where prematurely born infants were nurtured and taken care of. For a premature baby, we still today in the hospitals, we have these incubators where a baby is kept, and till the baby is healthy, he is kept in that particular incubation. So participants, this term business incubation is, we can say, motivated from this term only to heal or to do the hand holding in the beginning years or the beginning days, so that this, when we combine it with business, when you are starting a new startup, when you are starting your own business, we do not know anything about how to go about it, how I will start a business. I just have an idea and I just know how to make a product, but how to bring it into a market, how to publicize it, how to market it, how to sell my product, all this hand holding will be done with the help of incubation, now which we call as a incubator. So this is the whole background of, or the concept of what we call as the business incubation. So this term started in United States, USA in 1942. There they realized that we have, due to excessive transaction cost and low networking among innovators, many inventions or many innovations could not be converted into useful products. So the basic idea behind incubation is that if any of your student or even you have some idea, you want to make a product out of that, we need some handholding that will be provided by a business incubation. So that is the basic significance or concept of basic business incubation. So it started in later on, in 1946 at MIT, starting an incubator which is called as American Research Development. Today we are aware Silicon Valley, New York, Berlin, Singapore, and in all the developed countries we have these successful business incubations. So if we see the definition of NBIA, from NBIA, they define incubation as a mechanism to support the entrepreneurs with the provision of resources and services that help them in creating the new ventures. So the entire handholding will be provided by this business incubation. This is the basic or vital role of the incubator, to encourage entrepreneurship, to encourage innovation, to encourage or to help these startups. So we have different types of business incubation incubators, not for profit, not for profit. We have just seen one example of university-based incubator, how they work, how they function. So many of these incubators are mostly supported by the government, but still we still have certain privately owned incubators. Then if it is fetching to the technology part, we can call them as the technology-based incubators. Then we have some mixed type of incubators also, where there are mixed tenants of different types of business sector. Then we can also have different types of business incubators depending upon their structure, the policy, the type of tenants, the type of management, or type of funding facilities which they are providing. So already we have seen the practical side, but these are certain support services which will be provided by a business incubator. They will offer us workspaces, they will offer us public utilities, sharing facilities, all the support services which is required for preparing project reports. See, I do not know if I have a product, I want to bring it market, or if I want to take a loan, or if I want to connect with some venture capitalists, who will help me? How to go about it? This is all which is, this whole help is given by the business incubator. If I want to go for protecting my rights, intellectual property rights, if I want to take some technical support, the marketing support, market information. So this whole handholding, all this help can be taken from the incubators. Networking, making linkages, this help is given by the incubators. Incubators are there to help boost innovation, research and development, and entrepreneurial ecosystem of any country. That is why our countries, whether India, whether other countries, Philippines, any country, that is why they are supporting this concept of business incubator, because they know, we are aware that 90% of our startups, they fail during the initial stages only. We have an idea, I start a business, but during the initial years only, I face so many problems that I have to stop my business and the business fails. But this is the statistics which is required to be improved. That is why this business incubation idea was floated, and that is why our countries are focusing on this business incubation. So they help us in sustaining the startup, so that when I have started my business in the initial years, there is someone to handhold me, to help me overcome the challenges, to overcome the problems which I am going to face. So the incubators basically fill this challenge by providing the required support. This we have already covered. They help us to create financially sustainable and independent ventures at the end of the programs. Many incubators today are committed promoters of entrepreneurship, like Athrav also told us. Many of the startups, they have already been successful from their incubator which they have. So mobilizing resources, support services for new ventures, various support agencies, they make policymakers. So we have, it is not only the students that they are doing business in our country. Now, Athra is also aware of that. In many institutes, there the faculty can also have their own startup. A faculty, along with students, they can have their own startups along with doing their own jobs. So now let us talk about what we understand by university-based business incubator. Now, where this concept of university-based business incubator came, now we know the government also knows that we have in a higher education institute, let us say IIT is there. Now, IIT already has a well-educated or they already have these resources, that is they have the faculty, they have their students, and the students have their ideas. But how to convert those ideas into a successful business? They need some funding, they need some handholding. So each government, any country, whether it is India, the governments, they are supporting this concept of a business incubator where they provide support for setting up business incubators in the universities or in the academic institutes. See, already we have the students' resources, we have ideas. If we provide them with some definite funds, if we provide them an ecosystem, if we provide them an incubator, the students will get that holding, and from that particular university, many startups will be born. So this is the basic concept of university-based incubators. So in India, in our country, what is the concept? A university just has to say that yes, we will be providing you certain space. For that, government is providing funding. Using the government fund, the space of the university, these university-based business incubators has been established. So in this, basically, the funding is provided by the government. So higher education and institute-based business incubators, these are the special type of business incubators which are located within the university or within the academic campus. So these incubators, they tap the entrepreneur talent and resources which are located in their university, not only in their university, but in the nearby areas also. So they call upon the students or other local people, okay, if you have an idea, come to our institute, come to our incubator. We will do all the hand holding and we will try to convert your idea into a successful business. So this is the basic idea or basic function of a university-based business incubator. This is how there is a number of increase in incubations or successful businesses or successful startups by the event of these university-based incubators. We also call them, if they are talking about technology, if they are bringing about technological innovations, we also call them as technology business incubators. So these are this is a facility to incubate technological ideas for innovations to enable startups to succeed in the marketplace. So young firms to survive, they provide the specialized support services. And basically, the goal of TBI is to nurture innovation, knowledge, technology-based enterprises led by new age or first generation entrepreneurs. So as we have seen, these are the services which are provided. So as per NBIA report, these business incubators, this is the type of what percentage of services are taken by these business incubators. The first basic help which we get from this incubator is the business basic. As I showed you in the previous slides, we have sometimes we have a student who is an engineer. He do not have a business background. So how to go about it? What are the business business things I require? So that help can be taken from the business incubator. Then the facilities, Thrav has shown us the various facilities which are there. So conference hall facility can be taken. Then they also help in marketing. I have a product, but how to market it through website, through how to contact with the market people. That assistance is provided, and it has been seen that 90% of the services which are taken by the business incubator is in the help with the business basic. Then it is conference room, then marketing assistants. Then they also come as incubatees where they have these shared administrative services. Then for making networks, that means when they visit a incubator, they get to know other people who are doing business. They get to know about the account people. Even the angel investors come there where they can pitch their idea and they can take help from these investors. Then accounting and financial management help is taken. Is with access to commercial loan. Every country, they provide loans to startups. So, but I do not know how to go and take a loan, how to contact the bank people. All these things are provided under one building only, that is through the incubator. If I want to make link to some higher education institution, if I want to take other services, internet services, so these are the top 10 incubator services according to a report, the services which we take or the services which we get from the business incubator services. So dear participants, this was a background about why or what we get from a business incubator or university business incubator. The basic function of these incubators or through these entrepreneurs, we need to convert the job seekers to job generators. Now, every country, they have their various schemes. I will not go into the details of the schemes, but if you search for your own country, each government, each country, they provide various schemes for setting up of business incubators. Where I talked about university business incubators or non-profit business incubators, actually the government, various countries' governments, they are actually promoting this business incubation and they are providing grants for the business incubation. So in our country, just to give you a glimpse in these last 1 or 2 slides, we have various boards which are providing these benefits. We have this National Science and Technology Entrepreneurship Development Board, which we call as NSTEDB. I will share this presentation with sir. So I've given the websites also. So they are providing a number of initiatives, and number of grants. These are some of the grants. The incubator, which Dr. Athrav has explained to us and shown us, that is also through a grant under this Nidhi grant, which we call as National Initiative for Developing and Harnessing Innovation. There they provide, the government provides you the resources. The basic feature behind this is you apply for a grant, the government will provide you with the money. You have to provide space and you have the other things you have to do. But the funding which is required for setting up this incubator, that is provided by the government. So you just have to search the your own country's various schemes. What are your own schemes which the government is providing for setting up of these incubators in your university, in your academic institute or elsewhere also. So these are certain schemes. If you go to and check this website where they provide you the funding for establishing these incubators. Then we also have another very dedicated mission, Atal Innovation Mission. Through this mission also our government is providing a number of initiatives for promoting this incubation culture, not only in the engineering colleges or higher education institute. Now in NEP 2020, they are providing grants in the schools also, which they call as tinkering labs. They are creating these labs in schools also, so that the student, while he is in the school, only he gets that culture or he gets that bending of entrepreneurship in his mind. So there are, I will not go in details, but you can see a number of schemes are there for setting up of incubation centers. The second question comes, if there are schemes for your country, how to apply for that scheme. So I will just show you a small draft of one of the draft which we prepared for applying for incubation center. So basically for your own country, you will have to search for incubation center, what grant your country is giving. Then you search that and you apply for that grant so that you get funding for establishing an incubation center in your own institute or in your own academic university institute, wherever you belong. So this is what you can do, searching the type of grants and applying for that grant. So these are few initiatives for India where government is providing this incubator support. Then there are certain dedicated departments also which are providing supports. For example, they are providing through Department of Biotechnology. If you want to set up an incubator in this field, if you want to set up an incubator in agriculture, then if you want to set up an incubator in the field of electronics and information technology, they call as MIghty. In agriculture, we call as agri-business incubators. And in biotechnology, we call them as BioNest. So each country, they have their own support system. You need to search that support system. And through your institution, you can apply for that support, and definitely you will get the grant for establishing an incubation center at your own institute. So this is just a general process I have taken, which is there for applying for a grant. I'm sure it will be same for you. First of all, you check that particular grant, whether you are eligible for that. Then you find out, mostly in our country, there are certain thrust area. They ask you in which area you want to apply for the grant. Then you prepare a project proposal. After this slide, I will show you briefly one of our NITR project proposal, which we applied for applying for this incubation center. But the problem here was that we do not have enough space. One requirement for this is that if you want to establish an incubation center at your space, at your university, mostly in India, they ask you, okay, you should have 10,000 square feet of area or 5,000 square feet of area. If you have that particular area and if you have some background of entrepreneurship, then you can apply for this grant. So these are the, you have to find the area, then you prepare a project proposal, then you apply for that particular project proposal. Then it will go to your agency where you have applied. They will see your project proposal. If they see that, yes, it is good, then if they provide you grant, like Dr. Athrav has told you, then you will have to make a separate Section 8 company. Here in India, it is mandatory. Okay, before, it is not that it is of a university, but separately you will have to make a Section 8 company where this incubator will work. Then if you get that grant, they will also keep on checking your progress report. Year by year, they will check your progress report. So this is how you can apply for a grant for this. So just one slide before I show you that project report. This concept of university technology transfer was there. It started in United States under the Bayh-Dole Act. So basically, government saw that we are providing, before this business incubation, they were saying that we are providing so much grant, but through that grant, people are doing research, but some effective product is not coming. So there they started this law, Bayh-Dole Act, means if you have got some grant from your government, from that grant, you can make a product and you can sell that product in the market. And this is how they introduced this concept of technology transfer. This is how they introduced that concept. So that means you can transfer your idea into the market and you can bring your product. This is where the business incubations help. But how to go through this? If you have got a grant, you do your research in the university, you protect your product. But after making a product with the help of some counterpart or with the help of some business incubation, you bring your product to the market, and whatever gain you are getting, your university will gain, you yourself will gain. See why we are talking so much about this university incubators. See, if you bring a product to the market, see, your university and you both will benefit from that. If you are selling some product to the market, the profit will come to your university, the profit will come to you, whoever may have made that product. So this is a type of creating business or earning profit also. So I have last 2-3 slides, and then I will show you my business plan, I think, before ending up. So this last slide, when we talk about technological innovations, I just put one slide to all of them, that our technology is evolving day by day. So we have to keep in accordance with the technology. We have to change according to our technology. We have already undergone through different industrial revolutions, starting from 1, 2, 3, and now we are in the Industry Revolution 4. So we need to tell our students that they need to go along with the technologies. They have to learn the new technologies, and they have to implement these new technologies when they are doing some projects or when they are thinking of doing something new. If you are lagging behind in the technology, you will be lag behind. So these are the technology industrial revolutions, previous industrial revolutions, how it started. Maybe in some other presentation, we will cover this. But these are the current technologies which are driving our industry. So we need to know about these technologies. We should know about robots, autonomous robots. The sir also talked about drones. So we need to work in these latest technologies, artificial intelligence, horizontal and vertical integration, industrial Internet of Things, cybersecurity, additive manufacturing, augmented reality. So all these are the new technologies which are driving Industry 4.0. So before ending, let me show you the if I'm able to share my project proposal which we prepared. This is the actual project proposal. This is how, just to give you an idea how to apply for that, and if you want to apply for a grant. So webinar. I showed you this Atal Incubation Center. So this is the type of proposal which we have to prepare. We have to give some executive summary, some background. This is a type of almost same type of business plan you have to prepare, like Dr. Athrav showed us their TBI. So they also prepared one proposal business plan. They submitted to an agency, and after going through the process of screening, then if they find that your proposal is okay, good, you have a good business plan, then they will provide you grant. The government will provide you grant for establish a business incubator or a incubation center at your institute. So for that, it is very important that you have a good business plan prepared. So like at NITER, we had prepared this executive summary, some background about our institute, what NITER has been doing over the years, about our EDIC department, entrepreneurship development and industrial coordination. Definitely, you should have some background in entrepreneurships, in innovation, in the startups. Related work already should have been done. Only then some significant role will be found. So we prepared this about our EDIC department. This is just a draft of how you have to apply if you want to apply for some government scheme for incubation. So you will tell some background about your institute, how over the years your institute have been involved in various activities. So we have given some background of our institute. Some we have been doing some courses. We have been doing awareness courses. Then what type of labs you already have? Already we have these 3D printing labs, CAD/CAM labs. So this background we have done. We have a lot of linkages with other agencies, with other government agencies, right? So then incubation strategy and business model. So later on, you will have to prepare a strategy, how you will go about it. Like in our country, mostly they will ask you what areas you are going to work in and why you have selected that area. Suppose you are and in this very important part is if you are solving some social problem. Let us say if you are near some agricultural land and if you are solving there some agriculture problem, like some hard water is there, you want to change it. Or if you are in some, let us say, certain area where there is a lot of pollution and you want to start a business incubator which can solve their pollution problem. So here you will have to give a significance of some focus area, why you want to work here. It's like our area is we are a training institute. So we want to focus on more trainings. We want to create more, one of the key point can be we want to create more awareness about entrepreneurship. So this can be one of our strengths. So depending upon your institute, what type of strength you have, so you will select a focus area. If you are working in electronic field, you want to create some new chips, you want to solve some problem. So here you will have to check your focus area. Then you will have to tell the organizational strengths. What type of strength is already there? So you find out the strength of your institute. You can provide that strength. What type of work? And another very important thing is you should have some industrial collaboration. Or if you do not have, how the nearby industry will help you in your incubator. See, without the help of some industrial input, you cannot go alone. So you will require some experts, you will require the help of some industry. So when we prepared this plan, we talked to certain industries which were nearby us, how they can help us later on. So you take, you can write an MOU or you can take some paper from them. Okay, these industries are going to help you. Then here we will have to make a 5-year plan. Like sir also told us, we have to be sustainable. The basic fundamental of any incubation is that if government is providing you with some grant, They will mostly provide you the grant for 5 years. They will say, okay, we are ready to give you 5 crores for the first 5 years. You give us a plan, but after 5 years, your incubation has to be sustainable. That means you should be able to earn and you should be able to work on your own without any help from us. So we will be providing you help for 5 years. So you will have to give the help. You have to give the entire proposal. In 5 years, what you will be doing, you will be first of all buying equipment. You will be having some incubatees. You will be supporting the incubatees. Then later on, once after the end of the 5 years, when you have successful startups, when you have successful people going from that, how you yourself will earn your business. Maybe you will start renting your area, or maybe you will have some share in that startups which you have supported. So here you will have to give the entire proposal of the 5 years. And later on also, after 5 years, if the grant given by the government is for 5 years, how you will sustain after 5 years. So here, how you will, so you can give, yes, sir.
Doctor, your slide is not moving.
Okay, I think I was in Word document now.
Yeah, because it is in the technology driving industry 4.0. I
Oh,
think
sorry.
it is.
Okay, let me go to the PPT again.
Yeah, because they wanted to see the plan.
Okay, sorry. Okay, resume share. I think I should go. Okay. Is it visible now?
Yeah, it's visible.
Okay, sorry.
Can you make it bigger, a bit?
Yes, yes.
Big?
Okay, okay, I got it. Sorry,
Okay.
I actually, I was in the PPT mode, so I think I had to start it from here. These are the components of, okay, is it clear? So I have already, I will show you, this is a type of business plan which we have to make. Initially, we have to prepare a summary, the background of your institute. I have given the background of my own institute, of my department. Already they are doing something in entrepreneurship. So what already you have been doing, a little bit background, and the incubation center which you are for which you are applying, what work you will do in that incubation center. So what is your business model here? Mostly we select certain focus areas in which area you will work, whether you will work in education, whether you will be work in some agricultural field. So you select your areas, then some background which includes your organizational strength. And a very important part I was telling you, you will have to talk to, or you will have to collaborate with certain nearby industries. So you will have to collaborate with the industries who are ready to help you. Like here we had talked to certain industries nearby us who collaborated with us. And this is very important. You will have to provide a proposed, we call it as a chart of 5-year program. They will ask you how, if we are providing you grant for 5 years, what are the activities you will do in these 5 years? In the first 3 years, what you will do, you will first of all have a team. Like sir told you, there is a CEO, there is a manager. Then how you will call upon the incubatees, who will be your incubatees, what products you will take. So the entire plan for the first 5 years you will have to give. Then what are the incubation facilities you will provide here in our country? Mostly what we do, we have to provide them space. The space is ours. So like 12,000 square feet, 15,000 square feet. You will have to give a plan, how you will plan that particular space, how much incubation space you will have, conference space you will have, meeting rooms you will have, and you give the background of your labs. What already all labs are there, because the incubators can take the help of the labs also which are there. Then you will give the details, how you will go about the marketing strategies, how you will support the incubators. So because this is the purpose why the incubators will come to you. Then you will give a action plan to meet the business support. What is your action plan? How you will help in mentoring, counseling, and training. Most of these incubations, they do trainings also. So what training programs you will do? What are the geographical regions covered? So this is just a brief, or to give you an idea how to prepare a business plan. What is the status or active, like in our country, you will have to first of all make a you will have to convert it into a Section 8 company who will be the CEO. And then this is very important. What will be your target for the 5 years, which I was talking about? Mostly they give you the grant for 5 years. Maybe they can give you seed money again for the next 5 years. But you will have to show them, okay, in this 5 years, we will be self-sustaining and we will be able to run on your own. So basically, it is just the initial funding which they are providing. So here we made a plan for that, how we will have incubatees in first year, how many, second year, third year, fourth year. So that entire detailed plan has to be provided by you. Selection and exit policy. If some incubatee comes to you, some startup is there, he's not able to do his work for how many years, for how much time you will help him. So all this selection and exit policy has to be provided by you. So this is just a brief about the business plan, which you have to apply for getting the grant from the government. So this is again one proposed budget plan. How you prepare the budget, what will be the cost of equipment, computers, if you are buying some printers, and what amount will be given to the incubatees, how much you will be. And the last very important part will be the revenue generation projections. How you will be able to generate revenue at the end of 5th year. So you should to become self-sustaining. So these are certain things which you have to provide, and this is one chart which we provided for the how you will convert it into the various activities for the 5 years. So just to give you an idea how you can apply for a grant from your own country, and in future also, if you require any help in preparing this plan, I think you can always approach us, and any type of help which we can provide you, we are there. So dear participants, I think I have tried to cover a number of things, starting from what is entrepreneurship startup and what is the significance of business incubation, and how it is very important that if it is very important that since you are attending such type of webinar, okay, for your own institute, you should try to apply for some grant for setting up a business incubator in your institute. And once you get a grant, how you can run a successful business incubation. So dear participants, for any country, entrepreneurship is an important tool which can address the issues pertaining to economic growth, stability, and measurement of well-being. So it is greatly affected by the ecosystem or environment which we get for the businesses. So establishment of various science and research parks, business incubation facilities have definitely improved the overall ecosystem. And that is the reason why our government, all the countries' governments, they are promoting entrepreneurship. The overall goal is to create that ecosystem and for the economic growth of any particular country. So I hope this presentation, I think I will go back to the Zoom. So I hope I was able to motivate all to work in the field of entrepreneurship for applying for various grants. So shall I stop sharing? Am I visible?
Yeah, visible.
Okay. So I think that is all from my side. Thank you, everyone, for your patience listening. And I think we can go for question-answer session, sir.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Niraj Bala. It's a very insightful. Dear participants, the webinars participants, you see, we have two type of presentation today. What Dr. Niraj Bala presented is the overall picture from A to Z, how you want to get, how you can go about it until to write a proposal. What we have listened from the first presenter, from Dr. Adarwa Pundarik, he's talking about how you get the fund, how you make you set up the whole, the director until you execute the plan. That means there is two different type of flavors presented, the actual and also how you want to start. So it is a very good sharing. Very thankful to both presenters. We gained some good information about startup, incubators, incubation process, and I'm very delightful to hear about the unicorn, decacorn, and hectacorn. So this is something very new for those who are new in this field. Before we open to the question section, I would like to start up the section with let the ball rules with my question as a moderator. Doctor, you see, startup, incubation, entrepreneurship at the higher institution, what are the most challenges you think the majority of us will face when you want to do incubation startup in the higher institution based on your experience? I think this question is general. Maybe Dr. Athawa can answer first. Yeah, Dr. Bala can add up on this. Just a general, what are the biggest challenges we will face? Please.
So, yeah, thank you, Dr. Keshavan. So, you know, in a broad, you know, if I were to put it in one word, is a difference in mindset between the thought process when you're teaching or doing research and when you are running a startup. So, you know, faculties or teachers or students in the academic environment are used to operating in a certain fashion, you know, in terms of timelines, in terms of budgets, in terms of urgency, and speed of execution. You know, that is very different typically when you get into the startup mode, because time is money in a startup, and they are cash starved. So really, you know, focusing on transitioning from research and teaching, you know, or a product that is in the lab, some project that students have developed, to something which can now make money that can sell. So that transition of mindset is the critical part. And I think it was referred to by Dr. Neeraj Bala also. You know, invention, you invent something, but to get it into the market, you have to focus on the customer. So that is where, you know, you have to learn new things, and so that is what we are trying to also train the faculty or students here to change the mindset. It is not the same mindset that you have in the lab. Now you're focusing on the customer, and how do I make it? Who do I partner with? Because in the lab you have done research. When you look at entrepreneurship as a whole, maybe it forms 5, 10, 15, 20%. In deep tech companies, maybe 40%. But the rest of it, where are you going to get? How are you going to get to ensure that someone is buying it? That gap is important, and the mindset has to change. So that is challenging to do that. And we have to start small, but it then has to sort of seep into the culture, is how people think when they are starting the research, is to think that if someone will use it, then how do I get there?
Thank you, Doctor. Dr. Neeraj, you like to add up something?
Very true. Yes, Dr. Athrab has already covered this. There are two parts. I happened to meet one of my students during this COVID. So he was from engineering background. He had a wonderful idea of making some sanitizing gloves. He said, okay, but my dream is that I want to bring it to the market. But he was an engineer. He had that idea and he had made a prototype also. But how he will commercialize it, how he will sell it. So I just gave him that idea. Okay, you contact one business incubator. They will help you in hand holding and bring it to the market. So this is one simple way, that this is why we have these business incubations. But just apart from that, there is another one method. I showed you one slide of technology transfer. In the extreme cases, participants, sometimes what happens, you don't have that time to go to the business incubation. You don't have that time to give that. So another one important aspect which we actually have not covered in this is technology transfer. If you have an idea, you have made a prototype, you directly transfer it to an industry, you write and you have some understanding with them. Okay, I give you as a license, or I give you as a technology transfer. I want this much percentage of part of that and profit of that. That is also a win-win situation. If you do not want to actually convert it into a product, you are already busy. So you can also sell your idea or transfer your technology. This is how you can also gain profit from your own idea. See, you will have your own idea also, first of all, but you protect it, and you will also have some gain as a profit from the market from that. So this is another one alternate solution apart from what we have already learned in these 2 hours, okay, we can take the help of the business incubation. But definitely, sir, that is why I gave that slide of engineers. Mostly it is in our mind that I am an engineer, I am a technical person, how I will do business. So that is the basic crux of that, how my idea will be converted into a business.
Okay, thank you. There is few questions in the chat box. Let me share. Maybe any of you all can answer that, because there is some similar question which, if it is a similar already answered, I will be going for next question. The first question is from one of our participants. Based on your experience setting up incubators in your institute, what criteria which you consider as critical and important to be considered in choosing the right person or team to handle the incubator project in any academic institute? Please, this is the question. Anyone, maybe Dr. Adarwa?
Yeah, sure. So, that is a critical part, because, when we talk, of changing mindset, the incubator team should be able to communicate and collaborate with the entire ecosystem at the institution, which means that whether it be administrative staff, financial staff, faculty members, they should be able to understand what are the core competencies of the institution. And the head of the incubator should, be very clear that there have to be sources and there have to be targets for bringing in revenue to the incubator through various mechanisms. So running it like a company, like a professional operation, I think that has to be built in, and with collaboration, because there is two sides to it. One is the running it as an operation, which typically is common to the private sector. The other side is the academic side. So the team should be able to effectively run through and collaborate and integrate it, and then bring in the academia or the research or the technology or product that is developed through to, and take it out of the institution, out of the through the incubator, right? So that is a key aspect. We should not run it like an academic institution. That's why I mentioned that it is a Section 8 company, and when you, from the mindset, it has to be run like a company. We have to think that how do we pay our staff? Are we spending on marketing as per the budget or the revenue that we have or the balance that we have? Okay. Because it turns out then that you're spending more than you're receiving, because if you want to build a culture of entrepreneurship, then communicating with students, with faculty, ensuring that you have that end-to-end channel where student clubs here, they are now being able to incubate. So how do we build that end-to-end channel? It happens only through collaboration. So it is a challenging task, but it builds in gradually into the culture if the right people are selected.
Okay, there is another question. Thank you, Dr. Adarwa. There's another question. Why incubators is more prevalent in IT than hardware development? Why incubators is more prevalent in IT than hardware development? This is the question.
Yeah. So, Dr. Bala, if I may take it, or you?
Yes, definitely, sir. The simple Athrav, he's actually having practical experience. But when we also go for pitching rounds and all, we will see that many of the startups, the students who come for pitching for the startups, they are many of them are IT based. Maybe the startups which they have in case of IT is simpler, or especially in our country, there is more trends towards computer engineering towards IT services, you will see. So when the experience which we face when we go to some pitching round, or when they have their own startups, mostly they are related to IT. What they do, actually, they make a website. If you go to simple institutes, they make a website. They want to market their product, or they want to sell their products. Maybe it is simpler for them, but definitely the question is very apt. I think Dr. Athrav can answer. Okay, we need to do more towards the hardware part. Our country is also, our Honorable Prime Minister is also focusing by Make in India and Atmanirbhar Bharat. So until we have good startups in hardware, I think that is very important for the growth of the economy. Already in IT services, websites and all, we already have a lot of startups, but there is a requirement. But definitely what is the current status, Dr. Athrav can tell. But for hardwares, it is very important that we should move forward towards hardware. Manufacturing the parts, that is more important, and especially in India, where we are lagging behind, that manufacturing of hardwares and manufacturing of products should be more. There should be more startups in that.
Okay, thank you.
So I'll just add on quickly to that, Dr. Keshav. So
please.
Yeah, barrier of entry is low. So, when we select what kind of startups we want to take into the institution, one of the questions I ask them is, what is it that you need the IIT for? Or the, what we have. If I can sit on a laptop and sit outside gates of IIT and code without using any of the expertise, then I do not need to be incubated. So we are very focused on the deep tech manufacturing. You mentioned some of those sectors. And for each of the institutions that are participating, they may have core competencies in certain areas, where they stand out and they uniquely differentiate. But the barrier of entry is low, competition is also higher. It is very difficult to commercialize. So we want selective areas where, it may take longer, investment may be little more, but we are fully able to support them through whatever we have here.
Okay. Another question. Thank you, Doctor. How do we protect intellectual property, especially in small island nation where running incubators will be funded by overseas donors and industry rather than education institute? I repeat again the question. How do we protect intellectual property, IP, especially in a small island nation where running incubators will be funded by overseas donor and industry rather than the education institute? So I open to the both panelists.
So IP ownership, it depends on how the funds have been obtained. It is if the overseas funding agency has a contract with the institution that the ownership of the IP belongs to the funding agency, then it has to be at the very early stage when you are drafting or when you are finalizing, it has to be made clear. Because what we do, so funding, if you are able to get the inventors are the people who make it, and typically the technology is patented within or should be patented within your island country. But that will be dependent on the agreement between the donor and the recipient. If there are IP clauses, and that is something the organization should check before accepting the funds, that ownership of the IP is not going to the funding agency, it is staying within the institution. So it has to be done very early and negotiated.
Okay,
yes, that's why mostly we ask our people to first try to protect it with IP. If you have protected it, then nobody can use it.
Okay, I agree, because before we start, there should be some agreement. Some should be signed for the IP and everything. I think that should be clearly stated before you start up the project, which involves dollar and cents. Okay, that's another good question. I think, attract my attention. For a startup, how could we build a strong brand from the ground up, and how to start up could leverage platform of the social media for growth? For a startup, how could we build a strong brand from the ground up, and how a startup could leverage platform of social media for the growth? Did you get the question? Because I think how we can make a very good branding of a startup from the ground until to the social media growth. It will be growing. So any tips on that?
Yeah. So there is, some of our startups, they have used social media influencers, so the new generation, on different platforms like TikTok, Instagram, Twitter or X, Facebook. They are influencers which attract. So especially this would be relevant for branding, consumer goods or food packaging kind of, sort of companies where branding is very critical, not so much in the tech domain. But yes, social media influencers, which have a large number of followers, can be paid to advertise your product. So influencing is one of the ways which some of our people are doing it.
So we have this very popular show here was coming, Shark Tanks. There when the students or startups were giving their pitch, so they used to ask them how much percentage of money you are putting in marketing. So they said it should be at least 30%. So I think this is a very apt question. You have made a very good product, but if we are not able to market it, so a lot of initial percentage of your you can say capital goes in marketing that product to make it a brand. Only then it will become a brand. If the quality is good, but if it is not reaching the people, common people, then it is of no use. So as per their view, 30% has to be given to the marketing part when they are starting their initial product.
Okay, I think we'll take one final question for the day. How can higher education institution balance their traditional academic role with the role of incubators for startups to ensure effective and sustainable support for entrepreneurs without compromising the quality of education? I repeat again the question. How can higher education institution balance their traditional academic role with their role as incubators for the startup to ensure effective and sustainable support for the entrepreneurs without compromising the quality of education?
So Dr. Athraf can answer, but sir, here in our country, like we have now new startup policy also, that initially, like in higher education institute, if I am teaching in an institute, my load is calculated depending upon how many classes I have taken. But now they have their own startup policy. That means I, being a faculty, if instead of teaching in an institute, I am doing some startup, I am putting in some hours for my own product for startup, then now according to that policy, that will be counted as my academic load. So here we have in a higher education institutes, we have these policies, like the same question, apart from academics, if I'm doing some entrepreneurial activity, that is considered as a part of academic activity. But that has to be done institute-wise. Your own institute or your government will have to make a policy, set up a policy. Instead of academic, that is a very apt question. I am teaching, I don't have much time. How I will provide that time for entrepreneurial activities? For that, policy has to be made at the institute level, so that parallelly a person who is working in a startup or entrepreneurial activity, that is considered. I think Dr. Athraf is also from academic background, but now he is working in the TBI.
Yeah, so this is an additional response. So I'll tell you my instance. So I still teach, do research. We have faculty, we have startups. The faculty have startups. They spend some time. So what we have instituted here, because see, while we want the researchers or the students to engage in startups very aptly, it's a very good question, I would say. We also want them to continue and do justice to their teaching or learning activities. And so we have here in TBI a conflict of interest disclosure. So this we have started, where although the flexibility is there, we take account of how many hours we expect the particular faculty or researcher or student to engage with their startup. Okay, and that is then reviewed, because naturally as a teacher you cannot spend 100% of your time. The other thing is, we do not also permit the faculty to be an executive director, which means a whole-time director. I cannot run my company full-time, naturally. So we have that in place, so it gives us an indication of how much time, it should not sort of exceed to the extent where your teaching and research is being compromised. So we take a disclosure for that.
Okay, I think, thank you very much. I think we already answered all of the questions which is written in the chat box. Some of the questions you have answered earlier. That is the reason I didn't reply. And on behalf of Colombo Brand Staff College, we would like to thank you all. On behalf of our Director General, Professor Dr. Suresh Kumar Damaja, we would like to thank all of participants, and especially our two presenters, for your commitment, for your time, and for your efforts taken to deliver these wonderful insights on startup incubation and entrepreneurship at an higher institution learning opportunities and challenges. As what Dr. Niraj said, we need to transform from the job seekers to job generators, or we can say job seekers to job creators. So this is what I think. By looking at the scenario, by looking at the statistics in the worldwide, globally, India is in number 3 in the startup. I think way back in maybe next 2 years, they will be number 1 by looking at the initiative taken, the support from the government. When I visited IIT Ropar, I see what are the Dr. Adarwa is doing and what India is looking on the startup incubators and incubation. Even CPSE have conducted a regional program in Nitar, Chandigarh on entrepreneurship on incubation process last year. Dr. Neeraj Bala is one of our local coordinator facilitate this program under the supervision of Dr. Damaja. So I think we are in a very good landscape, and many things I think the participant can learn from India, because India have a very good model on startup and incubation. We can learn more. And in IIT Ropar, I think they are more widely open. Those who want to have some learning process, they are open. So with this, I would like to take this opportunity to thank the director of IIT Ropar, Dr. Professor Ambuja, and also the director of Nitar Chandigarh, Professor Boloram, for giving us the opportunity, giving you all to be sharing the section on the international webinar platform for CPSE. You are part of us. We are there for all our member countries. Please stay tuned with our webinar series, in our upcoming webinar series. As what our director says, if you have any good topics, please share. We will bring expertise on that field to share the knowledge sharing section during this webinar. So with that, on behalf of Colombo Plan Staff College, I would like to thank each of you all, and also special thanks to my research and development division, Miss Stephanie Rimas, and also my ICT team, Mr. Justin, Mr. Paulo, and Miss Dani, for giving full cooperation to make this event as a successful event today. With that, I'll hand over to Miss Stephanie Rimas. Thank you very much.
And that concludes our webinar. Thank you very much to our participants who attended this session, to Dr. Atarva and Dr. Bala for your very comprehensive discussion on this topic, and to Dr. Casavan for facilitating the sessions, and also to our CPSE ICT for assisting us in this webinar. For the attendance and evaluation, the link will be flashed on screen shortly. Then after submitting your attendance, you will receive an email for the evaluation and claiming of your certificates. The link will be open for only 10 minutes. Thank you and have a great day ahead.
Can we take one photo, please?
Thank you all. Thank you.
Can we take one photo, because some participant was not there?
Okay,
Can we
okay.
take one photo, please.
May I request everyone to open their cameras? Okay, everyone. 1, 2, 3. One more. Okay, thank you very much.
Stephanie, please inform them we have shared the slides. They can download, because that's they want the slides.
Yes, sir. Please stand by in our on-course so you can get our the presentations of our resource speakers. Thank you very much for attending.
Thank you, Dr. Bala. Thank you, Dr. Adarwa. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr.
Bye. Thanks, everyone. Bye.
Bye. Thank you. Pleasure.